Check. If you're hearing the sound of my voice, that means you're now tuned into Chapter 89 of the Introverted Intuition podcast. My name is Jeff, a.k.a. the Ambitious Introvert, formerly known as the Petty Podcaster.
I liked that, by the way.
Yeah.
I heard it. I was like, man, Petty Podcaster, that's great.
Oh, cool. Shit. Maybe I should go back. I got the stamp of approval.
I'm like Petty LaBelle over here, so.
I haven't been petty recently. That's why I
so
disregarded it. But maybe I'll bring it back.
You should do a poll.
Poll, right?
Do a poll,
yeah. See what the people want.
Because Ambitious Podcaster, was it? Ambitious Introvert, I'm sorry. And Petty Podcaster, they're both pretty. You could interchange them. Choose what you like. You could have two nicknames.
How are you feeling today?
Okay.
And then that's the one you pick.
Yeah.
I'm feeling very ambitious today.
Okay.
I'm feeling like we can do a good interview today.
Okay. I'm looking a little tired, so my sunglasses are staying on.
I always look tired. It's fine. To my right, I have Miss Coco.
Hi, guys.
Lainey and CR are not here today.
They have the night off.
Yeah, sure. We'll give them that. But across from me, we have a very special guest. Yes. A guest who I honestly didn't think would respond to my initial pitch email because there were typos in it. I fucked up the email. I was adjusting it, and then I copied and pasted it because I thought I'd made the changes, and I did not. But
it did look like spam. I'm not going to lie. The font was all messed up. And I was like, what is going on? It was like a 24 font. In an email.
Oh, Jesus. I got to figure that out.
Well, the thing is, I was like, you know what, let me just read this because maybe there's something valid in here. And then when I looked at the links and things, I was like, oh, this is, okay.
It was
what's
very
good,
real.
though, you know? But, yeah.
I appreciate you wading through the typos and the crazy font to respond to my email and come here today.
Yes.
Please introduce yourself to the people.
Oh, Claire Fountain. Hi. What else do you want?
No, I thought you had like a nickname or like.
No, I mean, a lot of people know me from my social media handle. From at CB Quality.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. How are you this evening, ma'am?
I'm equally as tired as I think everyone else here, but I'm doing okay.
Has it been a long week?
It's been and I was just thinking, like, what day is it? What day of the week is it? I don't even know anymore. I think it's Friday, right?
Yeah.
Right.
As far as I know.
Okay.
At least you remember like the time because like if you came like an hour like later and you're like, oh, I thought it was gonna be here.
Get this. One of my emails I put 7:30 and you were like, yep, see you then. And I went back and was like, hold on, I think it's 7. Yeah, man, I'm trying to get it all done. So.
You have a lot going on, I'm sure, but we'll get into that.
That's why you're here, so we can talk about it.
Right. So I know you've been on some podcasts before, but do you have any history with podcasts in terms of listening to them, like in your free time?
Some, yeah. I like podcasts. I've now moved more into like I listen to books on tape every morning. It's just a thing. And I make little notes in them and everything. Audible and I are really close. But yeah, I listen to podcasts here and there.
Gotcha. Okay. I always ask that question because I feel like we've had people who come on who are having their first interview and don't really listen to podcasts. So
really?
Yeah.
Oh man, I really do like podcasts. Yeah. There's some really good ones.
What's your favorite?
Oh, the favorite one or like favorite episodes?
Favorite one.
In general?
Yeah.
Oh, I listen to... It's a mix, right? I listen to the ones on NPR, for sure.
I do, too, yeah.
I listen to Pod Save America. And then it's just up and down depending on, like, what topics I'm interested in at any given time.
And you listened to this podcast prior to coming on?
I did listen to some,
awesome.
yes.
How was our vibe? How was our energy?
Well, you know what? I was also really interested in the title of the podcast. I was like, that's a personality type, technically, right?
Yeah.
How did you guys come up with the name?
I kind of really just woke up one morning and just like it was the first 2 words were in my mind because I don't know, like I know it's based off an album name too, but I really just woke up one morning and that was it. Introverted intuition. Like I am an introvert at times, and you know the definition of intuition is just like what is it? Just like
it's like your gut feeling.
Yeah, gut feeling, right? I tend to go with that all the time, and yeah, it just fit well. I was told many times to change it, but I really stuck with it.
No, it's like it falls into the personality types. Have you guys done the personality types like INFJ and introvert, extrovert,
ambivert?
It's like this is so terrible being in psychology. I should know this, but yeah, it's like conscientiousness and judging, perceiving, where you fall on the scale. Yeah, so I'm like an INFJ. I'm like super introverted.
Oh, so this is on brand for you.
Perfect.
This makes sense.
Yeah,
cool.
Very much so.
Awesome. So could you give our audience, I guess, a brief synopsis of who you are, like what you do?
I'm that bitch.
Awesome.
Man, that has been my answer to like every question for the last like 2 months of my life. And people are like, what are you doing? Why are you buying a white couch? I'm like, because. And that's my answer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, why else? There's no other reason. I mean, I'm in the health and the wellness space, so I came up through, I was in journalism before this, and like food and like conscious consuming technically. But after that, I got into yoga. I was just teaching at night, and then I started doing yoga full time. And then from there, things just kind of blew up with social media and with Instagram. And so I ended up doing yoga with a bunch of athletes and celebrities. And I know, so cringy, but yeah.
But I saw it was under your bio. It said Trill Yoga.
Yeah,
what
Trill Yoga was. It started. Oh man, most millennial thing you'll hear me say. It started as a hashtag. It did. There needed to be a way to differentiate. Like, I think yoga is open to everybody, and I've been in yoga since I was like 15 years old, and I'm in my mid 30s now. But I just realized like there's like stigmas and stereotypes that are in the yoga space that I don't think need to be there, because then everybody is not available to come to the practice, and that's upsetting because it should be open for everybody. Yoga's for everybody, wellness is for everybody. Right. So it was just a way for me to say, like, getting back to your most authentic self, your most true version of you, and you can do it however you want to do it. Listen to the music you want, wear what you want. You don't have to be in a super expensive studio. You don't have to be on some beaches in Bali. Yeah. Like, you can do this your way and take the gifts that it gives you.
And you started at age 15?
Yeah.
How did that get introduced to you at age 15?
Man, I got a book, but my aunt from San Francisco was doing yoga in like our living room, and I was like a seeker. Like, I was a kid who would like go sit at the library on the weekends. Like, I'd make my mother drop me off at the library, and then I would just look for whatever books, like whatever I was interested in. So I just got into it, and I thought, you know what, there's this yoga thing, and like it could help me with like depression and anxiety, which I dealt with a lot of when I was in high school. And just, one thing led to another, and I was in yoga pretty like all the time. I'd make myself go 3 times a week, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays.
And then what made you decide to become a teacher?
I thought I was living on a farm at the time and doing food writing and doing research and development in like the pastry and baking space. Just a nerd, guys. Just nerd alert. Nerd alert on like 1,000.
But you could probably survive during an apocalypse, honestly.
I mean, I did live on a farm where I didn't have heat. I had a wood-burning stove, so I had to build a fire to be hot.
Wow. Oh, you're ready.
Yeah. I told you I'm that bad. Like I told you.
She warned us, yeah.
The fire thing was so weird, though. I could only do it for about 2.5 years. I was like, I gotta get back to civilization. Like, being isolated is cool until you're like too isolated, and then it's a whole other world. It's like too far that way.
Where was your farm? Where was your farm?
Oh, it wasn't my farm, thank God. But I lived on a family's farm in upstate New York.
Oh, cool.
So in Tivoli, New York.
Did you have like the option of living, like, you obviously may have the option to live in like an actual house, but you chose?
It was a house.
Oh, no, I mean like, I guess in the civilization.
I was like, are you think I'm in a tent or something?
I don't know. I wasn't sure.
No, it was like a farmhouse, but it was like a house that was detached, like out in the land.
Has anyone ever seen?
It was in New York.
Has anyone ever seen Into the Wild? Like, I thought you kind of went that life, like Into the Wild. Like he just chose to live in tents and travel the country, and then he got killed by like starvation or something like that.
Yeah, no, that wasn't it.
Yeah, no, nothing like that. Got it. Okay, you're good.
Yeah.
And do you miss those days at all?
The farm? Sometimes. I miss pastry sometimes. Like, I miss baking. I miss being in a kitchen. Because, like, that's the happiest work, Like, most work is when you're providing a skill set to, like, help someone fix something, right? Like, I'm sick. I go to a doctor. My car is broken. I go to the automotive people. I go to this. My refrigerator's broken. I call these people. But, like, in baking and pastry, people only come when they're happy. Like, they get cakes for birthdays and anniversaries and celebrations. And, like, it's happy things. And so it was, like, just happy to be in there. But yeah, it's like that was that. But I moved more into writing, and then that was kind of the transition to when I moved back down to Manhattan. This was 8 years ago now. Jesus,
time flies.
Time does fly.
Woo,
time flies when you're baking pastries and writing.
There you go. And I was just moving into writing full time, and then after I got this like editorial job and thought, oh my God, I hate this. I am so bad at 9 to 5s. And I don't know if it's because I can't follow rules. Like, I'm a little rebellious. You say 9, 9:15 doesn't work.
That's
like
me.
And I really, this would piss me off in high school too, but like if I can get all the work done in 3 hours, why the hell do I have to sit here until 7 p.m.?
Yeah.
you either going to give me more work or I'd like to leave to go do other things that I feel important for the quality of my life. And it just wasn't like that. And so, every day I would take like one thing home from my desk. And then finally after, I think like 3 or 4 months, we had like a parting of ways. And I was like, you know what, then I'll just do this. I've got a certification. I was teaching yoga at night when I lived on the farm. And thought, you know what, I'll just do this yoga and personal training thing. I'll get another certification. I'll just do that full time for like a year, let my brain rest. And things kind of just blew up from there.
Can you recall your first class that you ever taught?
That I taught yoga?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was in upstate New York.
What was that like for you?
I was at a local gym. I was the youngest person in there, so it was like a little odd because there's this thing that like, well, if you're younger, then you can't possibly know what you're talking about, But I also think like you don't teach what you don't know. So I just taught what I'd been taught, and I stayed kind of within my realm and my lane, and had an unconventional approach, and that was that. Yeah, I enjoyed it.
That's awesome. You practice yoga as well, right, Coco?
I not as often as I'd like, but yes, I do.
What's like the hardest part about it, would you guys say? I don't practice.
For me, it's just being consistent with it.
I was going to say just going, because I don't practice that much either now. Yoga is more of a lifestyle. It's, it's showing up to my own mat and showing up for myself in life. It's not just going to a class.
And is it mostly about like using it as an escape from like depression, or is it kind of a way to just maintain a peaceful mind each day? Like, is it?
For me, it was both.
Yeah.
Yeah, it helped me focus on something other than my anxiety, and I got into it for a while. I did it pretty consistently for about 2 to 3 years.
Yeah.
And then I got into other things that took me away from it. But periodically, I do it every once in a while, and it's always good.
It's like a moving meditation.
Yeah.
It's the physical side to an actual meditation, because there's like 8 limbs of yoga, or at least the style of yoga I was in. And so there's the asana, the poses are only one limb. Then you have all the other like ways of living, and a big part of it is also like the breathing techniques. And the breathing techniques are things that you can take with you through any part of your life, and that's going to help with like heart rate regulation and stress levels, et cetera, et cetera. So it's good for the physical of the body, but it's also good for like the mental of the body.
I think that's probably maybe more important at the end of the day, right? The
Yeah,
mental. So
yeah. People think yoga, they're like, oh, I'm gonna get abs, and I'm like, that is not what this is about at all. And the thing is, like, if you can breathe, you can do yoga. So if you can come and breathe and be present, that's pretty much what it is. It's not about these contortion level shit that we see on Instagram.
And you don't have to do it for like a long time. You can do it pretty much as amount of time as you want or you feel comfortable doing.
Yeah.
Because from my perception and from the outside looking in, I've always thought you had to do like a minimum amount of time to really get the full experience of it. But I guess
it just matters of your intention, like, what you want to get out of it. And,
Well, I do think like when you start to learn kind of like discipline is like an important skill that it's good for humans, right? Like discipline is good. Rules are good. Structure is good. And so I think even because I'd be so angry sometimes in class, I'd be like, I don't want to be here. I'd be so angry. I'd be looking at my feet like I need a pedicure, just like distracted, not present. And so it's like training a different muscle to make yourself stay present and to be in that moment and to feel whatever comes up, be it good feelings or bad feelings,
But would you say that was a benefit for you? Because you mentioned you were rebellious, but then this is kind of like a task a bit.
Yeah, making myself go was like, that's the thing, or making myself do it.
Yeah.
Like I have a new plan for myself. I'm moving into a new apartment.
Gotcha.
And my plan is like, I in the evenings, I mindlessly do things, and I'm like, why am I doing this? Like, I'm not getting anything from trying to read more news or trying to read more Instagram.
Yeah.
Read more Instagram. That is.
Yeah. I'll stop and say, why am I doing this?
Like,
it's too much.
So now I'm gonna stop and make myself. I really like to journal and just light candles and drift off into my own little weird world. Love to do that.
We're introverts.
Exactly. I would do it in college. I would do it when I lived on the farm. And it was like I turn my phone off so everybody thinks I'm asleep, and your phone, like business emails aren't coming through at midnight. There's like, it's a calmer time. And so it's like when I can finally just like be with myself. So I think I'm going to make myself do that in the evenings before I go to sleep. And then possibly in the mornings too. I want to get back on, I journal a lot, but I want to get back on more of like a serious, like kind of future self-journaling.
Do you just write about, like, you reflect on your day and just write it down, or your week, or what do you usually write? Just what you're feeling?
Anything, yeah. Forecasting what I want to happen, how I want to feel, what I want to be, affirmations. Processing, all those kind of things.
I usually just say my affirmations out loud nowadays because I've always lost the paper that I've written them down on.
Yeah.
And I don't really like to go to my phone for certain things like that. Because I feel like it's kind of like the phone's kind of like a negative form of energy.
Yeah,
and
definitely
writing
can
something
be.
positive in it, I don't know, I feel like there's kind of some sort of imbalance between it. But I have a quote, I think it was from an article that you did. It said, "How yoga helped me apologize to my body."
Oh, yeah, that one.
You don't remember that, probably.
No,
you do.
Man, of course I remember that article.
Oh.
That'd been, there's a long story behind that article. Because there's a wellness website that we'd been trying to get this published for like a year. And they just went back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And I got so pissed off. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to put it on Medium and be done with it. Yeah.
So what was that quote exactly? How yoga helped me apologize to my body. What did you mean by that exactly?
I mean, it's actually from a poem, I want to say. I think it's quoted at the end of the article. But it's like maybe we should apologize to our bodies first. Like maybe that's where all the healing begins because we take so much shit out on it.
Yeah.
And I got into yoga because of depression, anxiety, and then that all lumped into also a really like life-threatening eating disorder when I was in high school. So I had taken out all my problems on my body and it was just falling apart, you know? So it was a point when it was like I needed to be able to appreciate this and look at it more than just like this thing and how it looks and what it is, but more so what it can do for me and how it carries me around this world and through this experience of life and all these other things.
Just appreciating it
Yeah.
more, yeah.
So it helped me kind of move more into a space of gratitude and kind of say, I'm sorry for all the shit I put you through, body. Because we put our bodies through a bunch of shit, chasing things that really don't matter or are very fleeting.
And were the early stages like the hardest, like the early first few days of like making it up to your body and trying to make that change?
I mean, isn't it always kind of like a constant conversation, you know? Because our bodies don't always do things we like them to do, you know? They hurt, they ache, they get sick, I don't know, are heavy or too light or too this or too that or, you know? So our bodies are just kind of like, they're not always falling right in line. So the best we can do is be grateful for what they do.
Yeah.
Very true.
That's interesting. Like I've never, for me personally, I don't think I've ever like looked at myself in the mirror and felt uncomfortable with what I looked at, in terms of like my body, my physical appearance. But that's interesting that you went through that. Did you have like any like a support system around you at that time?
Yeah, I mean, I was super lucky and privileged to have access to like therapy, and I was put in inpatient treatment, and my dad was a big, advocate for me getting well and stuff. But it actually has nothing to do with your physical body. It has to do with not feeling like you have any autonomy or like you have any sort of control. So it's a method of control. So that's the other thing that I think social media is to some extent skewed is people think all these plus size models are like we're advocates for having eating disorders. No. Representation does matter in advertising very much. Representation matters, but that is not going to fix eating disorders. In fact, it won't do anything but make women more conscious of their outward appearance because modeling and advertising is all what you look like. So it's like a misguided message. It's like good intentions poorly misaligned. So there. But yeah, it was more about getting the underlying issues kind of taken care of and having a really good therapist and then taking it one day at a time.
And did it take quite a while for you to have a better relationship with your body?
Once I got
working through
once I got this stuff taken care of, it wasn't that bad. You know?
Yeah.
You just have to be careful with any of that like your issues you don't flip one for the other, exchange one for the other, because a sense of control and needing to control something could have easily moved into drugs or alcohol or sex or any other. I could become a workaholic. You know, all these things where it's like, oh, I'm super healthy, but I'm compulsive, but I'm impulsive, but I'm obsessed with this one thing.
That's interesting that you mentioned you had a support system because, like, I've noticed in my community, specifically the Black community, like, the idea of change and, like, therapy and, like, taking care of yourself is kind of really shunned upon a bit.
Really
or like you're
stigmatized.
Yeah, you're looked at as, like, kind of, like, nuts if you want to make a positive change in your life. And you didn't have anything like that growing up or, like, any people, like, saying, like, no, you look fine, just deal with it. Like,
oh,
yeah.
I mean, there was a ton of denial. I mean, even in my close family, denial, like, oh, Claire's fine, there's nothing wrong. There's just layers and layers to that. Yeah. It's
really hard to weed through because it's just like, why don't you want to support me wanting to support myself? I never understand that about
well,
us.
you know what? It's like people project a lot of stuff. They project a lot of their own stuff too.
Right.
So they bring all those sorts of things to their opinions and their beliefs. So sometimes their opinion of you says nothing about you and really everything about them,
We have to remember that.
That's a big one.
It's facts. So I feel like most people, maybe 7 out of 10 people on the street, if you present the idea of yoga to them, they may be resistant to the idea. Yeah. Do you have any piece of like words or advice for them to maybe look into them getting into it?
Yeah, I mean, I used to tell everybody this, like, give it a shot. Give it a shot. Find a class that you like. Find a studio that you like. Find a teacher that you like resonates with you, and then you'll have a positive experience. I mean, there's even things I go to now where I'm like, this is why I teach. This is why I teach. It's not to say it's bad, but like if I'm getting bored, I know someone who's not, like, doesn't practice is going to be super confused, not want to be there, and probably feel uncomfortable anyway.
Right.
That's kind of how the whole thing started too with the whole Trill Yoga thing, because I'm like, if I don't feel welcome, then a ton of other people and bodies and shapes and sizes don't feel welcome either. So
the name just rolls off the tongue. Trill Yoga. Was that like an effortless name? Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
I was like, what is that?
Right.
I need to know.
Being from the South, it was like part of the vernacular.
Were there any other options for name choices?
No.
No,
that was it.
That one just feels like
that
the best.
Was
Perfect.
Yeah.
Coco, did you have like a teacher? You have a yoga teacher?
Well, at the time when I was doing it a few years back, when I was going, I was very much into the teacher. Just her approach and, how inclusive, she made everybody feel. And I forget why specifically I stopped. I know there were other things in my life like work and things like that. My daughter that took me away from it. But it also might have been part of the reason was I think that teacher left that particular gym. And I was like, oh, I can't do this anymore. I need her. And I tried for a few weeks after, but I just wasn't into that particular teacher. And I think I bounced around for a few classes, but then I just started doing it more at home. Yeah. So, yeah.
I kind of fear like getting like a teacher on certain things just because like you don't know how people's personalities are. Like I've had a personal trainer before and they were just too overly aggressive and just like.
Really? I did personal training too.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Was that like a different experience between yoga and training?
They're both, if you know anatomy, it's really helpful. But, and I teach more of an active yoga because I think you have to be strong to be stable. So it's not just about being like juicy and loose, but the more flexible you get and the more mobility you have, the better your lifts are because you have more, like your range of motion is better. So they're complementary exercises, right? Or complementary practices. Right. But yeah, no, I would get clients that were, that had been like traumatized by other personal trainers who were like too aggressive and too in your face. And they didn't, well, not to say that's how all of them are, but there's some trainers that are just very, what is it like?
They're into their job, and I appreciate it, but like they're a little too extra with it.
Okay, extra. That's a good word. A little too extra. And not everybody responds well to that. Yeah. Especially women with like body issues and things. And there's certain exercises that can make somebody way more conscious of their body. And, like jumping. Some women don't want to jump. I get it. I get it. You can reach your goals and achieve many things without doing exercises that make you feel really self-conscious or uncomfortable. Yeah. So I think that's what it was. I just had maybe a little more of a compassionate angle.
Yeah, you seem like the complete opposite in terms of like teaching.
Yeah, I'm really calm.
How do you like ever have to coach someone through like a session if they're not really into it or they could tell like maybe it's a little too hard for them like when you were personal training or even now?
Then you edit as you go. Everything's up for revision and it's just a workout, at the end of the day. Like it's just yoga. Like you'll have good sessions, you'll have bad sessions. Yeah, it's really not that serious. And you can always come back. There's like a fresh time, There's a new workout. And it can also be like, what's really going on? Like what's up? And sometimes you need to do something a little more chill.
Right. It's interesting, though. You mentioned you're an introvert. Like, was it easy for you to just step up into be a position of a leader? Because that is essentially what a teacher is at the end of the day, a leader. Yeah. Was that like an easy transition for you?
I don't mind leading. I don't mind that at all, but it almost feels like a position in my head. Like I step into that position and then I can step out and then be less social sometimes.
It's a good approach.
So it's like a light switch kind of. You could just kind of turn it on and off.
Kind of.
That's kind of. I respect. That's kind of what I am with this. Like I don't really like to talk as much outside of this. Yeah. And I don't. I feel maybe I do. I mean, you've been with me outside of this.
Yeah, you're not a chatty Cathy, but you're talkative.
Yeah. Neither are you, though. You're kind of the same way.
Yeah, I'm super quiet. I'm learning, though. I'm trying to come out my shell a little bit more.
I read one time that it's not that introverts don't like people and that it's not that they don't have social skills. It's like sometimes we're the best at social skills. We're just far more selective. And we're not as renewed by large groups. Like if I'm tired and exhausted, I don't want to like go to happy hour with 45 friends. I want to like go sit in a quiet room by myself. Yeah.
I kind of view extroverts a little bit differently as I've gotten older. Like I used to kind of look at them as like just people who are just so willing to share their energy to everyone. I don't think that's like beneficial, but that's just who they are. Like as you mentioned, like we are kind of selective with our energy, so.
I feel like with them, they kind of feed off the energy. Not everybody, but some people, they need that energy. They need those groups of people to kind of, come alive and, be in their element.
But then what? Like once everyone's gone home, like.
Well, I guess with an introvert, because we're not like that, we would have that question like, well, then what? It's so much, and how do you wind down from that? And for them, that's kind of their norm, you know. So
they can actually feel renewed from it. Like when they're like, oh man, I need to go relax.
Yeah.
Oh man, where are my 10 friends?
Yeah.
Like it's just different strokes for different folks.
I don't get it, but it's true.
Yeah, I don't fully understand, but it's funny that we're talking about them like they're a completely different group of people.
Species
like
of
them,
like
they.
them.
Yeah. But your job seems like extremely selfless at the end of the day. Did you develop that feeling of wanting to help people get to a transition and better life? Did you get that from someone in particular in your family, or?
I just, you know what? It hits me a lot the last year or so because of how crazy the world has been, right? And especially this country. And I just sit back and I'm like, how are people so mean to each other? Like just mean. And not to use such a like preschool word here, but like just mean. I'm like, do you not have empathy? Did no one ever teach you to be nice to each other? Like to accept people and be kind and patient? And I mean, it really just goes back to like, I'm like, I must have been raised differently. Like, we were just raised, and even my siblings, like, we're just kind people. Like, we just are sweet. Yeah, and tender-hearted, maybe. Yeah. The first time I played basketball, it's terrible. I was super tall, right? I'm tall now, but I was tall then. And I played basketball. I was probably 5 or 6 years old. And I caught the rebound, and apparently everyone was yelling, like, put it back up, like, shoot again. I handed the ball to this other girl and said, here, it's your turn, and then just looked at the goal. She ran to the other side of the court. I didn't realize that there were teams.
Yeah.
They were like, oh, man, Claire's just out here trying to be too nice. I was trying to be fair.
Yeah.
But no, it's like, I think it's like just how I was brought up. My mother we really were brought up with that. And I think it's something you have to learn. And like now when I have like adults or peers that are other people in their 30s and 40s that are like mean, I'm like, you weren't raised right.
Yeah.
Like this is your mom. This isn't you. And that's what's even more sad, But I think that the helping nature just comes from how you're raised.
Is it possible for people to change? Like, I look at people like Donald Trump, who, from my perception, is just so filled with hate and just negativity. I think we do get past a certain age, you just can't change, or you won't change at that point. Am I wrong on that?
I think that some people get so set in their ways, especially success. I mean, I always say success is a really warm place to hide because you can you can just buy your way out of things or have people around you that are always going to agree with your shit, and you can normalize a really fucked up way to live and treat people, et cetera, because it becomes your normal in your environment. But can people change? I think it depends on what kind of demons they're fighting,
Right.
Because that's really all it is. Like I saw this thing the other day. I follow this, I wish I could get her @name, but she's a psychologist and she's really smart. But she was talking about it was like haters, trolls, and then it was like, no, it's really just like wounded human beings. Like it's just people. It's like hurt people,
yeah.
Yeah. It's like they're people that just are working out their own shit, and then they don't
and
know
not
how
the
to
best way.
Yeah, and they don't know how to be nice to anybody else. Because if you really think about why you can't stand something, what is really coming up for you? Like this whole abortion conversation, which is like so prevalent right now because damn Alabama is in 1940 or some shit.
Yeah. Now Missouri.
I'm from Mississippi.
Oh,
yeah, man.
You're not going back anytime soon?
Hell no. Throw the whole state away and take Alabama with you and Ohio.
I do want to get into that.
Throw them away.
I do want to get into that deeply a little bit later because I have some thoughts on that. I'm really upset about that. Very, very upset about that.
Yeah, I was like, how do we want to talk about it?
No, we definitely will. We definitely
But
will.
yeah, I mean, that's kind of where the whole thing goes back, and it's just like people just are selfless and selfish and like out for themselves, but a lot of it's because they're trying to, I don't know, heal something in them that was fucked up, not feeling good enough, not feeling worthy, or they just had shitty parents.
And going about it the wrong damn way.
Yeah.
Right. I think it literally all starts at home, though. Like, whatever you're seeing growing up will transfer into your psyche somehow, and it's a shame. It's really a shame that people. I don't know. I don't want like a perfect world with no negativity because I feel like we do need some sort of balance. But I don't know, maybe wait till we're older to give it to us. I don't know,
Yeah,
so
but
we
I
can
think,
process it differently.
yeah, but like negativity can come in other things, like stumping your toe or, missing your flight.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
can negativity come like, oh, hearts get broken? Like, oh man, but can it come like not in the form of hate?
Yeah, right.
Like let's have bad storms. There's flooding.
Yeah,
There's a
right.
lot.
It's
And that's-
something else that's
yeah.
not traumatic and that will seep into our psyche and
It's
stay with us.
That's a really idealized view, but you know what? We can hope.
Do you
we
think?
gotta always have hope. You can't, let go of that.
Do you think things could get better eventually? Like
Overall,
overall, in the entirety of the universe and the planet.
of course they can. People are really powerful, man. Like, and how we treat each other is definitely ripple effects, I mean, I know we all feel very small and like we can't do anything sometimes, but your family's a unit, your friends are a unit, your community's a unit, the environment you surround yourself in is a unit. And, I think about the people around me. Like, I don't have shitty people around me,
Right.
So just keeping that, and then hopefully their circles don't have shitty people around them,
Is that a part of one of your goals, maybe for Trill Yoga, to like make your own lane and change? It's really hot in here.
It does. We
Super
meant to warn you.
hot.
It gets
Super
super
hot,
hot, yeah. Especially after
Guys,
2
I might
hours.
take my shirt off. Woo! Okay. Y'all don't want that. Sorry. I was like, there was just dead silence.
No, I didn't say anything. It's just like I was waiting for you to respond to.
I was like, are they waiting for me to do that? I hope not. For which one? Is that what I want to do with Trill Yoga?
Yeah,
I'd love for there to be more. I mean, even in my classes, I don't like stand behind a wall and like walk out and then teach and leave. Like I'm there. I'm talking to people. Like I want there to be a community, and I always leave time before and after classes for people to talk to each other. You obviously have a common interest. You either like yoga, you like me, you like the hotel, you like wherever we are, you can't stand me. You have a common interest.
Yeah.
And there's a way to make an in real life like connection and friendship that could turn into something. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't, but we've got to get off these apps and like really start to talk to each other
Engage,
again.
Yeah. We have to. We can't just hide behind our phones.
But that's kind of what made you, I guess, more popular, right? This social media age, right?
Yeah. The irony.
What was it like a real moment, like a defining moment that made that shift occur in your career?
Not really. It was a wild thing to watch, though.
Was
Yeah.
it?
Yeah, because at the beginning, like I built my following back in like 2013, and like in the beginning, it was like it didn't exist. Influencers didn't exist,
Yeah.
and the numbers would go up so quickly. It was insane how fast you could build a following, and now it's not so much about building, it's about keeping the quantity really high. So it's a constant in and out of like losing shitty followers and ghost followers and bots and all the weird things that kind of get in there, and then just letting the people that listen and like what you're doing stay.
Using it as a tool is the goal,
Yeah,
right?
it's definitely a
Yeah.
tool.
That's literally this is a medium
It's
to get
definitely a
ahead, I
tool.
guess, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Does that give you any type of anxiety having a large following, though?
I was gonna say, what is
I don't
Instagram
consider-
anxiety? Because I remember I had read something about you
Yeah.
talking about that Instagram
Oh
anxiety.
yeah, they were
What
like,
is
'cause
that?
people have it, man.
Yeah.
I don't put that much worth in it, honestly.
Yeah.
Which is because it's different for me. It's not just my 20 friends that I can see what they do. Like it's so many, I can't see what anybody does. I don't get notifications. I have to actively like go look at my DMs if they're there and engage otherwise, so it has to be a much more active on my part. But yeah, it's just not really, I put out what I like. And if you fuck with it, you fuck with it. And if you don't, you don't. Like, I don't put my worth in numbers and engagement and all this stuff. And I also think influence is bigger than just numbers.
Yeah.
Like, anyone who just thinks, oh, it's likes and comments, which is so contrived and manipulated at some point because it's, for some people, it's dollar signs behind a lot of that. It's like, what is true influence? Like, who are you really connected to? Who's really watching your page, you know? What brands are you working with? How are you making like the change you want to make? I feel like that I have to be something of like substance, in an otherwise pretty vapid space. So that's important to me, working with companies and brands and areas and people that I believe in and think are doing good work.
That have integrity.
Yeah.
Jeff
and you
is
have to
all
think,
about integrity.
does it
Huge on
serve the
integrity.
work? Does
Yeah.
it serve the work? It's
Yeah.
always a question, I think. Like, does it serve the work?
I always like want to know if like there's anything like people would do just to get ahead. Like, is there any type of offer or company that you would want to work with so badly that they may have an offer for you but doesn't directly align with your beliefs? Would you still work with them, or would you just turn it down as a whole?
Is this something you said a company I really wanted to work with or I didn't just to get ahead?
that you do really want to work with? And this is kind of like a life-changing opportunity, but what they're asking you of like to do or support or push doesn't really line up with your beliefs.
That'd be a tough one. I mean, you have to always think about like what's the return on investment, and is it something I can live with the next day, or is it not? And what is the true cost?
Yeah.
Which is, I think, kind of, it's hard to see that sometimes when you just see what maybe the first surface cost. I mean, payback kind of is.
I feel like most people like look at opportunities, only look at opportunities if there's like a check attached to it. So
you can't do that.
And you can kind of see those people coming, I think, right?
What do you
I
mean?
mean, it's tough.
To me, it's not always obvious, but sometimes you can kind of just tell, like,
Yeah.
that there's no, substance in what they're saying. They're just kind of trying to push their product or push their view, and,
But I feel like that's like the where the crossroads comes, right? If a certain amount of money is attached to this shitty deal, that will really make people question, like, yo, should I just do this and take this check and do it, and just who cares who I hurt? So.
Oh man, no, if it's hurting people, you gotta like check that. But I mean, sometimes it's like, don't hate the player, hate the game, And there's some things where you're like, okay, if I can do this now and create this, then I'll have the funds to be able to build this thing, buy this thing, and put the money back where I know it should be.
Yeah.
So it's almost like taking one for the team. But I think it really would depend. It really would depend, and I don't think anything I do. I fiddle with this mic thing. I'm
do that
trying
too.
to.
That's why my hands are under the table.
Wrap it around the mic, and I feel like
How's that going?
making a ton of noise.
I thought you almost had it.
It doesn't work because this one goes over, and I'd have to like put my head under the mic.
Well, by the end of the episode, I'm pretty sure you'll get it done.
If I crawl in the table, it might happen. But no, I haven't had. It's back to the thing about with not everything is a check. Sometimes it matters more if it's a resource that I can give to people, provide to my audience. If it's something I'm really interested in working with or experiencing myself, stuff like that is different. And panels and speaking engagements and appearances and all that is usually like, I don't have some crazy price attached to it,
Right.
because there's places you want to be, there's people you want to talk to, and maybe that's super naive sometimes, but I like to talk to people, and sometimes the benefit far outweighs. I mean, because everything's about relationships at the end of the day.
Yeah.
It's true.
That's
what it boils down to. Yeah.
What was like? Can you recall any negative experiences you had as you've grown more as a popular face in the social media era? Like anything?
Like what?
Like maybe outside of like hateful comments or anything, or maybe even criticism. Have you gotten any criticism for your work or anything that you do?
I mean, yeah, there's always stuff like that on the internet. Always.
How does that affect your psyche?
There's only been a handful of times that I was like, wow, y'all said that shit. Back in 2014, everything was like really, there's this thing where like women get looked at a certain way when they're in the public eye, right? We still have very old views and like tropes of what like women are and can be and can do. So if you suddenly have a curvy body or a body that elicits a sexual response in somebody else, you are suddenly super sexy and sexualized and objectified and some sort of a slut and all these other things, right? So dealing with a bunch of that was really bothersome because it's just constant.
Yeah.
And it's not just men, it's women too. Female misogyny is just as much of a problem. So that kind of stuff is really bothersome,
What about like having to maintain a certain image for your fan base? Like, is that any type of pressure?
An image in what sense?
Like, people are tuning into you for different reasons, right?
Yeah.
But you kind of have to maintain, like, you have to kind of post maybe every few days to maintain like the perception that you're still doing what you're doing. You're still around and accessible to them.
It's funny that you say that because I'm not consistent sometimes at all at this point in my career. And I'm like, man, I should be back on here. I should be more consistent with my work these days. I should have more of like a content calendar. I should like really plan this out. And it's not not to say it's not my priority right now, but, life is happening. Yeah. And
I'm glad you said that because I kind of feel the same way. Like, I feel
to
the pressure.
when I get to it.
Yeah. And I think that's a
get
better
to it
idea.
when I get to it. I've got stuff that I am like, that I need to do, that I'm obligated to do on there, which is fine.
Yeah.
But you don't put the pressure on yourself to like, post.
No, and I
advertise.
love question and answer.
That's interesting.
I will do question and answer for like forever.
Yeah.
Yes.
Will you answer anything for the most part?
Some of them, Almost anything. Some of them are just intrusive, and man, people are nosy.
Yeah.
They want to know.
Yeah, and then the other ones, if it's almost too in depth, or if I feel like it's like I can't provide, like ethically, I cannot give you the type of answer I want to give you. You know, I'll just message them privately and be like, hey, this is like a really, like a larger issue. Like I can't in 20 words or whatever it is on that little Instagram story. I can't really address this in a way that I think is respectful to either of us, you know. I just try to be mindful of people and their experiences.
You seem like you give great advice.
I try.
I don't know. I get that vibe. Like if someone were to ask you, like, oh, I'm thinking about joining a yoga class tomorrow, blah, blah, blah. What should I wear? I don't know. I feel like you know like the exact brand and like whatever.
But I also like to just give people options. You know, like if I can do the due diligence and explore all these things, like here, I checked these 10 things out. Pick which one you like. And if you don't like any, that's cool too.
So the purpose of the show, the reason why I created it was to be a form of escape from depression. That podcasts were for me prior to starting this. And I just want to be that gap and bridge the gap and help as many people as I can. Clearly, yoga is an escape for you. Working out, just staying fit.
Have you told your depression story on here and I just didn't hear it?
Tell my depression story?
Yeah.
No, I've never what? Have
You said you started this podcast because like podcasts help you escape from like depressive cycles or depression.
Yeah, I've never sold specifically.
Oh, you want to give me a hot take on your depression experience?
Hey.
This is a different interview than I was expecting. It's weird. Like part of it was mostly just feeling like worthless, right? Like I feel like I couldn't really find myself in the world because I was comparing myself to so many people who I felt were quote unquote ahead of me. And outside of just having a 9 to 5, I wasn't doing anything, I feel, in my opinion, of myself at that time. So that just really, it just felt like I was just existing. I was just going through each day, just walking like a zombie, doing the same 9 to 5, going home, working out, and then just like that.
Like an emptiness.
Yeah, I felt really, really empty. And that in turn just made me have these crazy thoughts of suicide and just thinking like, yo, if you're not doing anything each day, like, why are you even here, you know? And I don't know, just during those moments, podcasts were the only thing that would make me think about different things besides that and make me laugh and take me out of those moments. And yeah, just a few certain shows each week just really took me out of that completely. And that was like maybe 2 years ago. And yeah, I had my moments, I've dialed back to it, but yeah, I just really felt useless, purposeless, a zombie. I've never said that before. It's really weird.
I was like, thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you
Thank you for sharing, yeah.
Honestly, thank you for sharing.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you guys
But
ever.
it's also probably worthwhile for people to hear too. Because I think also, and even coming from like a guy, you know?
Yeah, we don't hear it often enough.
You know,
people,
Yeah.
Because
especially
people
guys
think,
expressing themselves.
I think depression touches everybody in some way, you know? And it's sometimes they don't know what it is, you know, or how it feels.
Yeah.
But it's always nice when someone can say, well, this is what it felt like for me. And then to go, oh, that's why I couldn't wake up for a week, you know?
And it's
that
funny,
kind of
like I
stuff.
feel like there's so many people that had that same experience, but I never felt comfortable expressing it just because I've always been this type of person. I feel like no one can relate to me, so I don't want to share my story because you can't help me get out of this. I have to deal with it on my own. So I guess that's probably not why I've never really shared it, because I felt like no one could really understand. And it's a little bit more than what I said, but that was really the surface level main thing. I just felt like I didn't feel anything really. Like I didn't feel like I was worth it. I didn't feel like anything I was doing was impactful. And yeah.
I've definitely felt like that, and I'm sure some of our listeners have. So, you know, just saying that I'm sure has helped, if not one, if not more people, you know.
I hope so.
It's kind of like I listened to this TED Talk one time that was about depression, and it was like, you know, there's always light and there's always dark. Just sometimes the dark gets way bigger, right?
Right.
And so the whole thing is like kind of trying to find little bits of light, you know, to kind of turn the tide back, you know. So then at that point, there's way more light than dark, but it's just kind of this ebb and flow, you know. So it's like sometimes we get in like a really kind of deep, dark place where there's way more darkness than light. And how can we start to kind of like podcast? We're like a light for you.
Right.
Maybe doing this or seeing certain people, or you just have to kind of like grab the light when you can and as you can and just keep kind of like bottling it up
Right.
until it can finally move you to another place.
And another thing, it's actually really hard to figure out what you're good at or
Yes.
to prove to yourself that you're good at it, right?
Well, especially when we're bombarded all the time with media and TV and social media about everybody doing these things and being great at it and finding their passion or what they want or
Yeah.
It's natural for somebody to compare themselves to
yeah,
that, right?
and we start comparing ourselves and
I always had that warped thought process was like someone's success is overnight, but like I didn't know like how hard they work to get to whatever point they're at.
are also not just how they work, how they worked, but how much what else isn't going well for them. You know, like super successful business, all this money, failed marriages, children are depressed, you know, like upset, can't be there for their kids or family. You know, like there may be other tragic things that we don't know about, you know.
Everybody's dealing with something.
Health is failing, et cetera.
I think if I do gain some sort of like social media influencer fame, I will be as transparent as possible, just because I want to help as many people as I can through my experiences with my story. But how are you on social media? Are you kind of somewhat transparent?
Oh, yeah, totally. I'm pretty much an open book. I keep my personal life private.
Gotcha.
That's one area I really keep private. Relationships in my family stay off the internet.
Yeah.
And that's because social media is my choice. It's not theirs.
Yeah.
And what we have isn't built on that. And there's also like a false sense of like it falls into those like ways we classify women. Like someone told me once, well, if you just would get married, people would trust you more. And I was like, oh, okay, men will just stop hitting on me then. Oh yeah, okay, whatever. Anyway, just that's not how it works.
Obviously a guy, but
Yeah, but it's also women. Women love that story. They want you to have a partner. They want to see you in love. It's like people's most liked photos or when they make their partner public. Yeah. I'm not kidding. People love this shit.
Somehow you're validated.
Like having a partner is like a business move in the Instagram world.
So
having a dog is a business move, you know?
The whole like relationship goals thing is like deeper than that. It's like, I don't know, maybe they just look at it as like, oh, it is possible to find love. I feel like love at the end of the day is something we all kind of crave.
Yeah, but it's possible to find love even if like some chick on the internet isn't married.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
you know?
facts. Yeah,
Like,
true. Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be the
possible.
marriage, but
That's really interesting. I've never heard anything like that.
Yeah. People wouldn't hit on you if you like if they thought you had somebody. And I'm like, I've had somebody. Like, I haven't been a single person on the internet.
Yeah.
I just haven't put it out there for you to know. But thank you for your judgment.
people assume
like,
so much
thank you.
by what
Thank
they don't
you
see. Right?
for your assumption.
So I guess
like you're comfortable with your body, you must be like single. I'm like, what? Doesn't
People
make
think
any
before they
sense.
speak. Most don't. Just because you can say something doesn't mean that you should.
But
okay?
I think it also goes back to just how people actually think, like how we've been conditioned to think and conditioned. Because what is it I read the other day? It's something like the first thought you have about something is what you were conditioned to think. And the second thought you have is basically like what type of person you are.
Right.
Like, are you going to immediately go, okay, that's not what we should think about this person. Can I reframe this? Which I think kind of goes back to your conversation we were having a minute ago about can people change? I think they can. They just have to unlearn the shitty stuff and like learn new stuff and know that their first conditioned bullshit, hateful thought. Okay, let's take a step back. You know, what can my next thought be and move from the place of like that I want to move from.
I think social media is definitely making it a bit harder for people to want to change. Oh, you're out of water. You want to pour some?
Do I know where you've been?
Here. I've been here with you.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
true. Thank
Trust
you.
me. If you get sick, sorry.
Let's just pass it around. Let's just pass it around.
Yeah.
Just communal water here.
But I think like with people feeling comfortable saying whatever they want, like the phone is kind of like a bulletproof window, right? So they could just
Absolutely.
type something out, say something, put their phone down, and that's it.
They feel bold. They feel emboldened to,
And that's not just social media. That's relationships too. Like people who only text. You can end a conversation without having to see somebody else's reaction, without having to see somebody's pain, somebody's upset, or their joy even. You can't really have a real life connection with someone if you're like texting it.
Yeah.
You know?
You think?
Yeah, I think it's a control tool too. Like if you have a really uncomfortable conversation and you have, let's say, some sort of personality issues, right? And you're like, I don't connect well, this whole intimacy thing, I don't do this well. And I got to say some stuff that's not that comfortable. I'm going to text it, put the phone down, go on about my day. I don't have to deal with your feelings right now.
Right.
Yeah. And I think that that's selfish, but it's a tool.
What I've learned through texting is like you're just gonna get miscommunication every fucking like thread and
Definitely.
message. So like that's why I like to speak in person first and then phone calls second.
Yeah.
But it's just so much. It's more convenient to text. Like that's what I'll say.
I think it's nice when you already know a person because
Yes.
you get a feel for like, oh, I know how they're going to say this. I know I know what they will and won't respond to this, you know.
So getting to know someone through texting is not the best choice, you think?
No.
I don't think so.
How can it be?
You can't see people's eyes and touch them and like look
Yeah.
at them.
No, I'm with you, but I'm just saying, devil's advocate. Like, there's some people who would be like, I can get to know someone fully through texting all day.
No.
I said, give it a try. Go sit down together then.
Yeah, I mean, they may feel more awkward doing that in person as opposed to texting, and then
That's probably why they're
it won't work
texting.
out. Yeah,
One of the reasons.
yeah. I don't know.
We rely on it too much. We definitely need to have more one-on-one, thoughtful conversations with people as opposed to just relying on technology.
Well, people are crazy
People
nowadays.
are,
So
yes.
like, I don't want to meet with you. Like, I don't want. I want to keep my life. Like,
Well, that's why as introverts we're selective. So
extremely selective.
Yeah. Where were we?
I'm glad we're past.
Or where
me
are we going?
I'm glad we're past me sharing my depression story.
I'm sorry.
That
Did I
was
make
good,
you
though.
uncomfortable? I'm sorry.
No, you didn't
I
make me
really
uncomfortable.
appreciate you sharing.
Oh, of course. Thank you for hearing me out. Hopefully, my story will maybe shift someone's conscience, help them somehow. But do you have to be in a certain mind state to create? Does it have to be a certain time of day, certain time of weather outside?
Like create anything?
Anything. Like, do you still write?
Yeah. I write all the time.
Yeah. So, like, I guess, how do you prep yourself to write? Do you have to?
Oh,
Does it
man,
have to be,
I'm
like, in a
so
quiet
bad at
place?
that.
Yeah.
I really admire. I have a friend now who just finished a novel, or at least the first draft of it, and like he has like a really good writing schedule. I'm like, man, that's admirable.
Yeah.
You know, I have no schedule at all, but I like to work on creative stuff at night because the phones are off and like no one can get in touch with me. But also, I mean, you just like get in the flow. You know, like when you're really on and you're not distracted and you're focused on like what you're focused on in that moment. And then you kind of just have to ride waves of creativity when they come, you know?
Yeah, it's really hard. I'm also a writer as well. I'm working on my first book, and
Nice.
like when those creative moments come, it's like you gotta have that mixed with like motivation, right?
It comes in bursts.
So
for
like
you?
it'll come in my brain to like do all these ideas, but like to physical act to like write and type it out is kind of hard, and that's where the conflict comes and why nothing gets done some days.
I have that problem because there's definitely a ton of shit in my head that I want to put down, but it's weird. It's almost, I don't want to say painful, but I have to like physically make myself sit down and write something, and it's rare. When I was younger, it was so easy.
Yeah.
Just pick up a book and start jotting stuff down, but I don't know what it is. It's like it's not a block. It's not like I'm lacking the words of what I want to say. It's just maybe it's something that I need to work through, and I'm just like, I don't want to face the reality. By the time
Yeah.
I put it on paper, it could be that, but I know that feeling, so it's hard.
What about to even like getting to a session of yoga? Like, how do you prep yourself for each class?
I mean,
that you
I
do?
go through it in my head. I see it in my head. Like I visualize it in my head. Like I visualize, that's how I do the flows and everything. I just visualize them in my head, how they're going to go, how they'll connect. And I like to do different music for my classes. So I make my little playlist, like I'm in the 5th grade. I'm like, oh yeah, this is sweet. Mix. But I make a playlist, and usually the playlist is like right at an hour and like 15 minutes or so, which is like, so I know when this song hits, it's like the class should be wrapping up. Because sometimes you take little variations throughout. Like it's not just because you see what people in the class can and can't do, if they're comfortable, if they're not. Like you just feel the energy, right? Like you kind of just have to go off your class at that point. But yeah, I come up with it in my head. I visualize it in my head. I visualize a lot of stuff. Yeah, and when I meditate, I think about things, and like even if there's things I have to shoot, or like you just kind of get like your creative brain starts kind of clicking away and humming away, and I like will see things and I'll be like, let me file these away in different like areas and tags and categories, and like I have different files on my computer. Like when I see something that resonates with me or speaks to me in a way, it's kind of an intuitive thing, and you're like, I like this. I don't know why, but I like it. And you pull it into this like little folder and you just keep it there. And then you can look at it from time to time, and like that stuff comes back up like consistently.
But so your class is like pretty early in the morning at times, right? Or
Not
does it?
really.
Yeah.
I'm going to a class tomorrow that's at sunrise.
Really?
But I'm not teaching.
Are you a normal like early bird? No.
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 You're a night owl?
Seriously, there's like the internet goes in like trends, like waves of trends, right? And there's like a big trend right now that everyone wants to be a morning person and make a smoothie or some tonic or matcha. Is that what it's called?
I have no idea
And
what that
I'm
is.
not any of these people. Like I like to wake up and make a big cup of English breakfast tea, turn on a book on tape, and then make eggs.
Do you like social media? It seems like you really aren't into it, like at all.
She uses that as a tool.
It is a tool, and I mean, like I buy shit off it. I'm that person. I
Off
buy
social
all my
media?
swimsuits. Yeah, I shop on social media.
I do.
Wait, what? So I can just like buy stuff off Instagram or something?
Yes.
Like?
I see a like a bikini I like, and I'm like, click, like done.
Oh,
Shipping. Done.
okay. So, those are like those ads that pop up, I guess,
Yep.
like based off your searches.
That's me.
Wow.
I know, right? Threw myself in.
I'm gonna stop buying candles because the candles are shit. But I learned my lesson.
And I like Twitter a lot. Twitter's
you
really
just
good
freely
for like
talk your shit.
up to date. Well, it's gotten really messy now because it's just a bunch of opinions, but it's usually like up to date news.
Yeah, that's why I like it too.
And I can like follow the people I like and see what kind of stories are there quickly.
It's
I
scary
like
how
Twitter.
fast some things like pop. Like when Nipsey Hussle passed away.
It's really overwhelming.
It was like a random Twitter user who like reported it, and then I saw TMZ like maybe an hour later. It's
Yeah.
like it's too much information like happening like daily. Like
Man,
the
that
speed of
was
light.
that was a tough night when that happened.
for you,
Just in general, I was with a group of my friends and it really hit them really hard. And I have personal friends that I'm really close to that have worked with him and we're close to him. And it's hard to see people you love hurting, you know, like when they lose someone. But also, I think it hit a lot of people because when you see your narrative like played out in another person, it becomes really personalized.
right?
So, like just holding space for people I love and hold dear that we're going through a lot.
It hurt me, and it kind of got me questioning the concept of like karma. Like,
Yeah.
I've seen no evidence of him being like a bad person just based off everything that's been put out to me and what I've heard through his music. And it's just like he put out all this good energy, but he just got a wave of negativity that took his life away. And it's like, for what? Like, is everything I'm doing, like trying to be as positive as I can, just gonna come back to me in a negative way, like no matter what? Like,
Yeah,
I just don't
really
understand.
disheartened. I think that's what a lot of people, like, men felt in a way.
It just really scared me, honestly, because it's like we're still stuck in this mold of like, I don't know. It was really depressing. It's still depressing to me, honestly.
Think about it, but his energy is still, out here, and I'm sure people. I know since then a lot of people have talked about continuing that positivity, not letting the negative way he was taken, kind of inform how you move forward. Like he had a message that he was trying to spread. So if we can just stay in that positive mindset, I don't know why I feel like crying.
Really?
It's tough, right?
Because
It's
I
tough.
remember when it happened, the energy of it. Like I'm an empath, so I could feel like whatever it was in the air, and it was there for like a few weeks after.
Yeah.
And I didn't know him from Adam,
Yeah.
but I felt it.
It just felt weird, like just saying those words like a few days after Nipsey Hussle was murdered, like R.I.P. Like it didn't feel right. So, but he's definitely become an idol of mine through his death, and definitely been following a lot of his content that he put out, that he left behind.
And that's
So,
gonna
yeah.
live forever.
Facts.
Yeah.
Are there like any influencers or idols in the yoga industry? Like, is there like a Jay-Z of yoga?
No, there was like a yoga teacher whose DVDs I had when I was younger, and I went to a class with his wife and like fangirled a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, I know, right?
Did
Rodney Yee is his name.
have you heard from them since? Or did you freak out so hard that they're like,
I haven't been writing him letters. Hello, Rodney. It's me, Claire. No, your biggest fan, Stan. No, it was not. It was not like that at all. There's I don't get starstruck. It's not. People are people, man.
Really?
there. Yeah.
There's no one you would just freak out over.
No, not at the no.
Oprah.
No.
I want to guess there are like so many people. I can't.
No, you know what though? When I was in college, because I was in food writing and stuff, I really looked up to Martha Stewart. Even though she went, she's a bajillionaire and she's done really well.
I love
Right.
And
her.
she turned herself from like just a caterer who built this like mega industry, right? Insane. I just always looked up to her, and I went to one of her book signings, and get this, I couldn't get there because of classes. So this guy I had like whatever, I guess he had a crush on me. I made him go wait in the line for me.
Ooh,
That's intense.
that's true.
That's dedication.
I made him go wait in the line to meet Martha Stewart, and so I like got my book signed and was like, oh my god.
He must have been really into you for you to make
to
him
stand in
yeah,
line.
like
Come on.
I'm only standing for a short amount of time. Honestly,
know?
that's me
And
personally.
my ass was like, thanks, buddy. Like terrible, terrible, poor guy. Poor
Did a
guy.
favor for a friend.
Exactly. he
Oh,
did a
okay,
favor
okay. You
for
look
a
at it as
friend.
like that, yeah.
Did a
but
favor for a friend. a friend.
Shout out to that guy.
I
This
know,
is some
right?
friend.
I know, right? You're like, man, the ultimate friend zone.
Wherever that guy is right now, hope you're listening, and you were a good dude, man. You did a
Yes.
good deed.
I think his name was Troy. I think I know his last name too. But yeah, yeah.
Shout out to him.
Shout out to you. I think he's married now.
Good for him.
Yeah.
Hopefully
Yeah.
she likes Martha Stewart too. That's a good woman. But yeah.
Is there anything about you that you've like analyzed about yourself that you maybe need to change or work on to like progress to the next level of your career?
Oh, I thought you were gonna say personally. I was like, well, how much time do we have?
If you want to go there too, I mean.
In my career, oh man, yeah, there's like really big stuff I want to build. And I know in terms of building something bigger, it's going to require more time and dedication on my side because I kind of like a free form schedule.
Yeah.
But if I could really get dedicated on like my time and allocating it properly, because I want to be able to like bring on a bigger team and continue to hire people that I'm like, you're cool and you've been my friend and I fuck with you. Why don't you just come work with me? That's an ideal situation, right?
Yeah.
And then we can all have one big happy family. But
As long as
yeah.
you pay them properly.
of course, of course, man, I've struggled before. You have to pay people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been there. So, yeah, like just to build bigger things, but it's going to take you a dedication on my side and kind of getting out of how comfortable I like things.
Oh, you feel like you get complacent with like where you're at times?
No. If anything, sometimes I feel like it's never enough. Like it's never good enough. But that's like deeper shit for me to think about. You know?
Right. Why do you think you have those thoughts?
I don't know exactly why. But it's a constant process. You know? Like, will it ever be good enough? It used to be something where someone said, why do you downplay everything? And I was like, what do you mean? They're like, you're doing, like, cool shit, and you act like it's nothing. And I'm like, well, I guess just in my head it still wasn't big enough to get excited about. And I really had to take a step back. Like, you should celebrate small wins. And there's really no small win. Like, a win is a win, right?
Yeah.
Like, don't think just because this person did bigger that or bigger this that yours doesn't matter, you know?
It's funny. I get like that too. And like people have like congratulated me on like whatever success we have in the podcast recently. It's just like, I think for me, it's because I always knew it would get to this point. So that's why I'm not really surprised or like excited. Because like,
He had the confidence.
yeah, like I knew this was going to happen. I was just waiting for you guys to see it too.
Yeah, maybe
And-
that's it too.
You're a
Yeah.
visionary.
In my head,
Facts.
like in my head, I'm doing all this other huge stuff, but because it hasn't happened yet, it's like, oh yeah, this is just like the precursor.
Right.
Like this is just the build-up. You know.
I mean, I really admire what you're doing. Like, I just really admire the selflessness. It's like that's a very rare trait nowadays. People are so about themselves and getting themselves ahead, but you're helping.
I mean, we also live in a culture that's very much me, mine, self. You
Do-
know.
do you
But if
feel-
you can't take care, I mean, like that's the thing. Even with the whole self-care thing, it's like if you can get good on yourself, then you can be good for everybody around you. So you know.
Gotta remember that.
Do you feel you're living out your purpose? Like this is what you were meant to do?
Kind of, yeah.
That's interesting.
Downplaying again.
Yeah, facts. Like,
I mean, yeah, but when I think about what my purpose is, like, I really think I'm supposed to like raise something. I have like a really maternal instinct in that sense, and I don't have kids yet, so like at some point, like raise something. Like I've been given all these thoughts and all this knowledge and all this, you know, access and to feed into like a little head. Yeah.
is that a goal? Is that on your bucket list?
I don't know if it's a goal, but yeah, I'm gonna have kids. Just not today.
Eventually.
Gotcha.
Or
Not
tomorrow.
today. Gotcha.
You know. But at some point. But yeah, I don't think that's the only goal. I think there's lots more to do and be done.
Do you come from a big family?
Yes and no. Yeah. Yes, but disjointed, but yes. That makes sense. So like at times it feels like no, but it's yes.
How do you think they view like what you've done? Do you think they're proud?
I don't think they know what I do.
Really?
Like if I'm honest, they're just like she does some shit on the internet, which sounds like yeah, you just don't know. But yeah, they like when I work. I sometimes have to tell them like things that are tangible, right? Like certain speaking engagements, they're like, what? Huh?
Right.
But if I say, oh, I did this thing with like this brand, like, oh, go to the store, I'm on the wall. They're like, oh, okay.
I know that one.
Like my aunt saw me on the Amazon website because it was up for like a year or so. She's like, I went on Amazon to buy things, and look who I see. Like it's just
They get
a
a kick out
different
of that, yeah.
world. Yeah, it's just a different world.
If you tell them about this podcast, they'll be like, "What are you talking about?"
Mm.
No, I don't know. My mother would listen to it.
Oh,
let's hope so.
Of course, Mom.
Shout out to Mom. Hopefully,
Big up Mom's Fountain.
this will be out in the future, so hopefully Mom's Fountain is listening
I know.
and
right?
not judging our performance, and hopefully
She
we're
is
impressing.
Such a sweet lady. She's crazy, but she's such a sweet lady, and she's like everybody I know's biggest cheerleader.
Oh,
Like you could
love that.
You seriously, if I told her like you were opening up a shop down the street, she'd be there like,
Awesome.
I bought 3 things. Like she's just really supportive. Like no questions asked.
What is your sign?
I'm a Libra.
Me too.
No shit. When's your
Oh.
birthday?
October
Vibing.
17th.
I'm the 7th.
Oh shit.
October 7th. What are you?
I'm a Cancer.
Which is May.
June.
May or June.
Right after Gemini.
Could you feel that? I feel like you and Lainey always pick up on the signs very early.
Sometimes I'll be informed, but in this case, no, I wasn't able to tell. And I
Me
don't know much
neither.
about Libras.
I don't meet that many Libras like ever.
Yeah.
People.
Facts.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
For that.
We have a really good heart.
Aww.
I like to think so.
I
mean,
think we're
you tell
also.
me.
I think we're really delicate and emotional.
That's
like
okay.
honestly.
Cancers are too, yeah.
I cried the other day. Like it was really bad, but like
Get it out, man. Get it out.
yeah.
You know what I thought about? I tweeted something not too long ago. Like I haven't seen enough men with like tears in their eyes over the course of my life. I haven't, and I think that's a problem
I actually had an ex.
for me and men.
Yeah, a few years back.
I just
and
haven't seen it.
he was always embarrassed about like when he would get emotional, like it would be like something serious, like a death. It wouldn't be anything like on TV or something serious like a death or something going on in his family, and he'd be venting to me and start crying, and he was like, "I'm sorry, I'm acting like such a little bitch," and I'm like, "Dude, like, how else are you supposed to get this out? Like, you can't hold on to shit. Like,
Yeah.
you know,
And what's
people who do
wrong-
that kill
and
people for
what's-
Christ's sake."
That's actually what Charlemagne said about the whole Nipsey thing. Was
What's
he's
that?
like, we need to stop, having trauma and like calling it culture, and it's like, he's like, that's what happened is somebody who's like a guy who's hurting, fucked up, got his own issues,
Yeah.
didn't know what to do and took it out by killing somebody,
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that's where his hate and all that stuff came from, was his own problems,
I just hate that like crying is looked at as like a weakness. Like you're just being your authentic self, like you're laying it out. Like I cried the other day because my dog passed away like about 3 weeks ago, and I was in the movies and they
sorry.
played this thing. It's fine. And they played this movie trailer about it was just a dog
Dog's
movie.
Journey or something like that.
Yeah. Oh, seeing a dog just like seeing this dog today has me like emotional.
I almost
but
brought
it's
my
just,
puppy
like,
today, but I was like, let me chill.
It's just like it's just hard to see like your partner like
Yeah.
or acknowledge that your partner is gone that you have for so long, and I just like tears and crying over my popcorn, and it was.
You needed to get it out, though.
Yeah,
It's
like
a process.
I don't think I didn't actually
yeah,
cry.
You're right. Grieving is a process. It
I
goes
didn't
up
actually.
and down.
I didn't actually cry when he died, so like I feel like I needed that that release.
Yeah.
But
Did
yeah,
you feel a little bit better afterwards? A little bit?
Yeah, I think so. I think I've kind of accepted and come to grips with what's my new reality without him.
Will you ever get another one, you think?
I think so. I might try to get Miles' dog. I love this dog.
There's an adoption event this weekend at PetSmart. Just saying.
Oh yeah,
Just
I might have to pull up.
What kind of dog did you have?
Oh, he was a Bernese Mountain.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, big boy.
Nice.
Yeah, his name is Sam. Yeah, so rest in peace.
Yes. Rest in peace, Sam.
I would like to finally, I guess, address the elephant in the room because I feel like a lot of people were anticipating us speaking about this, like the bullshit that went down in Alabama, the law that was passed.
It hasn't gone fully into effect yet, so.
Right, and I don't think it will for a
think it's-
while.
yeah.
Not well
But
for a while.
the fact that it is even a topic of discussion is just not right.
It's been in the works for a while, I think.
It's this long Republican right-wing agenda to reverse Roe versus Wade. And I don't know why they are so obsessed with it. They're so obsessed with cells, embryo cells, and fetuses. They're obsessed with it. Obsessed. Not, I mean, if you look, Alabama's like 49th or 50th on like school education and all these other kind of things.
And
Like,
I think
they
the-
obviously don't care about children and people.
Yeah.
Right.
That's evident, right?
Yeah.
What were you going to say?
No, I was going to say,
Yeah.
I think the U.S. is like number 4 as far as infant mortality rates. So it's like, to me, it's just mind-boggling that they don't even address that issue. Like, to me, like, we're a pretty advanced country. We have, medical technology. Why are we number 4?
You
Like,
have
to me,
a
that's
much higher risk of dying from pregnancy than you do an abortion.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
And
why?
so many women have abortions, and it changes the course of like women's life to have to carry babies if they do it, like they don't want to. I think you can completely make your own choices, but yeah, it's also again about I think it has a lot to do, because this is really going to hurt people that don't have any money, right? Like, this is for people without resources that are going to get hit the hardest.
Yeah.
People with money and access will always be able to find a way to have an abortion. Shit, you can go to another country even. Like, people with money and resources in this country will be fine. This is yet another thing to, step on the people who don't have resources, that are, low income, et cetera, in this country.
I just feel like at the end of the day, there's more important laws and things we need to pass and focus on outside of this. Like, I just don't understand where this backwards way of thinking is, why it still exists, right? Like, and I think I read something that, like, a doctor who gets caught, I guess, giving an abortion or whatever, can get more time than the person who actually raped a woman.
Which is insane.
That doesn't make any sense.
No, it
None.
doesn't.
It's completely nonsensical.
And this is like a straight up assault on just the freedom of choice, like, for women, right? And it's just like, I'm in shock. Like, I just don't understand why these group of men can do this. Like, and like, I was thinking about maybe possible solutions going forward, so something like this may be reversed. Like, do you think, are there any solutions? Can we have, like, certain laws that are involving just, like, specifically target women? Should we have, like, maybe gender specific, like, panels or whatever they do? Like, I don't know what we could really do to reverse this.
I don't think the system was terribly broken. I mean, it was broken in a lot of southern states, and states where there were so many loopholes, so that it basically was outlawing abortion. Like, there's like a 24-hour waiting period. You had to go through this counseling. Like, you had to tell the girl or the woman, or however they identify the person who is pregnant, they had to tell them all these things that weren't applicable, like really weren't, like scare tactics, etc. It's just ridiculous. And so they changed funding, and at one point you had to have, like, an ambulance on call or a connection with the hospital or something. Like, there were all these rules, and so the rules were basically outlawing it in some form or fashion.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know how people can think this way, honestly. Why does anybody give a fuck what somebody else does with their body? Honestly, why?
Women specifically.
I think it's like a
right?
power
Why?
aspect. Like, these guys are so
Almost
like
like
their egos are so fragile. They feel like, because
what's the last thing we can police and control is women's bodies?
Because I feel like, in terms of, like, old white men, in terms of the power that they once had in this country, I feel like it's kind of waning a bit. More people of color are getting more representation. It's hope, right? And more positions of power, and I think they're just trying to grasp for that last, like, air of power to maintain, and it's just disgusting.
Yeah, probably something along those lines.
How did you guys initially feel when you first saw that? Like, did you feel, like, maybe hurt, disappointed?
Disgusted.
Yeah. I mean, it's like backward ass like Mississippi, but backwards Alabama as well. Like, and you look at people, and you're like, you look at the faces of the politicians that are signing this stuff, and you're like, the gall you have to, like, want to do this to other people. Like, just.
It's straight up saying,
even
I don't care
in cases of
about
rape
you.
and incest.
How
Like,
can you do,
how?
How can you do that? How can you do that?
How? I don't know how. I don't know why. And is it officially passed, right? But it's not in effect. So, because there's some sort of reversal period.
Yeah, I think also they're being sued by the state of Alabama is being sued. I think Planned Parenthood and the ACLU or whatever.
Yeah, they said they were planning to sue Planned Parenthood.
Are suing Alabama. But that's the other thing, is, like, they're also not creating any sort of other ways to create more availability for contraceptions, for birth control methods, more education, more sex education, et cetera. Like, none of this goes into effect.
Right. Yeah, even thinking back to, like, high school, like, sex education classes were nothing more than just, like, a DVD of, like, it's like a weird DVD of just, like
organs.
Yeah, not even, like, not showing the act, but it wasn't informative, I guess.
No, of course not.
And now these same people who probably created those videos are in charge and making these decisions. And
I just don't know why it is such a touchy subject. Like, it just.
Like, why people feel uncomfortable speaking about sex?
No, about abortion.
Or abortion?
Yeah. It's reproductive care. It's medical care, in a sense.
I think
why is it so touchy?
Because it's like, some people would view it as just like you're killing a baby, like an unborn baby, like you're taking away that person's chance at life. And I think that makes people uncomfortable.
That's the whole argument of personhood. When does personhood begin?
well, that's what they'll say. Like, if there's a heartbeat and it's technically a person.
But technically, that's not a real heartbeat. It's literally a bunch of cells that vibrate. They're going to eventually turn into a heart, if it even is viable. A lot of women have a miscarriage many weeks after finding out they're pregnant. Maybe it wasn't viable. Maybe those cells turned into a deformed shape or function, or and that's a lot of miscarriages is because the body knows it's not a viable pregnancy and just expels it.
Right.
It's not. There's not bells or whistles. It's just very almost animalistic in a way. Like it's like this is biologically how it works. It wasn't viable. Get rid of it. It can't grow into a human. And it's done.
The main argument I've seen on Twitter is like choice, right? The main word I've seen mostly is choice. Like, so it's like you're not even giving that whatever it is at that time a choice to even become anything, right?
But then who gets the choice here?
Exactly, right? So it's just like that's like the main argument I've seen is like, yeah, you're not even giving it a choice, so we're gonna take away your choice, like to do anything. So we can have more.
I roll so hard, man.
It's
I roll
trash.
to the back of my head. Like I may fall over if I roll my eyes.
Yeah. It just really disappointed me as an American, as a man, because we're just constantly giving more examples of why we ain't shit and how backwards this world is, and I don't know.
Because guess who was involved in every unplanned pregnancy? Oh man,
right?
We didn't get here ourselves.
Yeah.
This is why I feel like there's not going to be much change though, because like certain things, decisions like this could just be made without like the voice, like the opinion, the vote of like the common people, right? Like I just don't. That's why I just think things could possibly just continue to get worse for
They
people
might.
as a
I mean,
whole.
they may get to a tipping point. I think, is it possible for things to get better? Absolutely. But have we reached the bottom of the bottom yet? Yeah, no. There's probably going to be more crap that goes on.
Yeah.
Even in terms of like going back to like what's taught in school, like even in terms of like how to avoid like depression, right? Like why isn't that a lesson? Like 101 how to self-care, self-love, right?
Yeah, mental health.
It needs to be, yeah.
Yeah, it definitely should check in with kids. And
Because I feel like there's shit, even suicides could begin even at any age, I feel.
Yeah.
at
Yeah,
any
and
age is
I'm
possible.
hearing reports on the news of like kids in like grade school,
and
like
bullying and all that
yeah.
kind of stuff. I think the care and keeping of humans is just kind of, people don't think about it.
at all.
It's
But
secondary.
life is,
for some
yeah,
reason.
and life is also
Secondary,
getting
not
harder
even.
though. Like we're
Yeah.
making less money. Life costs more. People are focused on like, I don't know, trying to take care of their lives, not just take care of themselves and each other,
Does stuff like this surprise you guys at all? Like does anything surprise you nowadays if you see anything crazy like this? Like, or is it just like, oh, this happened? Oh.
It almost didn't surprise me, but it certainly infuriated me. It's like, I could have more words, but even when you said during the week when it was coming up in the news and you had told us, the group, make sure, you jot down notes so we can talk about it. I was just like, man, I don't even want to fucking talk about this shit. Like, no, of course, like, you have to. It's good to. But it's just, I mean, it's personal and it's just fucked up, man. It really is. And it makes me sad for, what's to come.
Right. Do you have any topics written down over there that's like kind of lighthearted that we can kind of escape this?
Honestly, nothing too lighthearted.
No, nothing lighthearted?
Nothing
Damn.
lighthearted. I think
and
think
we're
the
like
only
about to
thing-
go to war with Iran and all sorts of crazy
Are
shit.
we?
see? Yeah, it's been a bad
What's his
week
name?
for
Bolton
news.
or whoever? He's wanted that for a long time.
I
I
haven't-
try to not get in the news too much right now. I just can't. It's just too much. And there's so many opinions and it's just too much.
So you just kind of just go through each day just doing you and not really, not caring, but like
yeah,
focusing?
it's not that I don't read it. It's just you can also go down like a black hole.
Right.
Of just like article after article after article after, and you can get really weighed down and really disheartened and really like you can feel really defeated.
Yeah.
Like I read another article about how segregation in schools is the worst it's been since it's worse than it was in like the 40s or 50s or something. Like something
Really?
ridiculous. Yeah, it's an article in the Times. But I mean, that's how it is. It's like they've just created these systems and put them in place so that schools get more and more and more segregated, and it's infuriating, And they're more segregated in the North than the South, technically.
Wow.
Like by communities.
I need to find that article because
There's lots of
that
them.
sounds
I can
crazy.
give you some people that really follow like the education system here in New York and other places.
I'm interested about you more though. I want to get out of this darkness because it's sick.
So what do we want to talk about?
I just want to
I'm
know
a
like,
Libra. My birthday's October 7th. I drink tea. Wow.
do you?
Yeah.
What kind of tea do you like?
English breakfast tea.
I don't know what that is. I'm gonna
It's
teach you.
PG Tips. It's such a British tea.
No.
It's like a black tea.
Gotcha. But I was gonna ask though is like what you're doing now. Was this like your plan A? Did you have like a plan B or C in case?
No.
No.
No. But I've always been like a hustler. Like I didn't know what I was gonna do. When I was in college, I just wanted to be a writer, and who knew writers don't make any money?
Right.
Who knew?
Yeah.
But yeah, so I always would have just like jobs on the side, and then it turns into like having 4 and 5 jobs at once, and then like I can hustle. I can figure out a way to like pay for my life, and I have so much pride. I won't ask for help.
Same.
Like so I can figure it out. But like I've been through a lot. Like this is not a situation where anybody like paid for anything or like helped me do this or it's been dark. It's been really dark, and I think it's different because even in the wellness space, I see a lot of girls and women that like they were like living under their parents or their mom and their dad, and then they go straight into like having a partner, and then they're like, oh man, I built this all myself, and I'm like,
You don't know the struggle,
do
honey.
you know how easy my life would have been if I was splitting rent with somebody? Like, do you have any idea? Like, do you have any idea how dark it got?
Right.
Like, living in a city at points in my adulthood. So anyway, there's not really it's probably why I get really anxious about living with anybody is like if I fall, it's just me, right? To
Right.
catch me. So putting all that kind of trust in somebody else is really tough.
Yeah, because like it's like accountability, right? People don't really take accountability for certain things, and when money's involved and rent is involved, it's just like, well, what are we gonna do about this rent this month? You know what I mean?
And I don't know. Like when somebody does help, it's like, oh my God, I feel like I have to make sure I like do good by this person and right by this person. So I don't understand situations where people take advantage of people. Like if someone's helping you with something, like how dare you be an asshole back? Like, like someone invests in your business or something, right?
Right.
And says, you know what? I have capital, you don't. Let me give you this capital. And then you like fuck it up over the next year? Like how? Like people got some balls, man.
Right. Even investing time. Like this is kind of my podcast, but like Coco's sharing her time with me today to be here. Like I couldn't like get upset about that or feel any type of way. Like if she didn't come, because like you don't owe me that. But yeah, it's weird. People are weird. I think that's like the main theme of this episode that we're realizing is people are just weird.
People are weird and disappointing.
Entitled, and yeah.
Have you noticed like any of those people like in the wellness industry, like or like?
There's a lot of ego in the wellness industry, but there's a lot of ego in the influencer industry. Give people some fame and some notoriety.
Has it shifted you in any way?
I had someone ask me that one time. They said it was a photographer. This kid I just think is so cool, and he had kind of like the shittiest girlfriend ever. And not to say I never liked her, but I think she was with him for the wrong reasons. And so after things fell apart and she was just terrible to him, he was like, man, how have you not let it get to you? And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, anytime a girl I know gets over like 10,000 followers, she's like hot shit and like is totally, bougie and bitchy and terrible. And I'm like, because it doesn't mean anything. Like my worth isn't like how I treat people, And that's not numbers and who I know and what job I have. Like, I'm not impressed by people's titles or status or money or, like, shit's a dime a dozen. I mean, not to say that, like, it means nothing, but...
In the grander scheme of things,
yeah, there's a lot of people with money,
Yeah.
There's a lot of money out there and a lot of people have it. But, like, are you a good human? Are you a good person?
I feel like
and are you nice to people that can do nothing for you?
Yeah, because when we leave this earth, we're not taking no money with us. What's going to matter is who you love and who loved you.
And how you loved.
Yeah.
But like when people see like someone with a blue check attached next to their name, it's just like, oh, what have they done? Like, why are they so different? Why are they so special? Like, and people, you kind of are deemed as like that, like something higher than what you would like a normal person, I guess. Like, because you have that fame, that claim to fame, that attention, that following.
And you could be fucking miserable.
You could be, but not as much as the person who's struggling, like who's waiting 2 weeks for their next check. Like
that person could be the happiest person in the world.
With a blue check, you're not waiting 2 weeks for a check. That's the other thing. You can't believe you can't believe everything's like rainbows and daisies and shit. A lot of things on the internet are just for show. But
you got to admit that you have more of a reach. You can reach out to more people easier than we could. You could get more done in a short amount of time, and you have more accessibility to people and companies and brands and whatever than someone.
So I've got connections.
You have connections.
I'm connected.
So that's like where the difference is.
But it's taken like my whole life to build these connections.
It's not overnight.
You know, and like even when people are like, "How do you build a following?" I'm like, "Time, man. Like time.
Put the time in.
How do you get on these lists? How do you get invited to these places?" I'm like, I've worked my ass off for the last like 5 or 6 years here in the city. Going to all the things, taking calls, taking meetings, meeting with people I knew couldn't, quote unquote, do anything for me, but I thought they were interesting. I liked what they were doing. You never know.
Building relationships.
Like
right?
having a network of people that you're like, I fuck with these people. And that's abroad as well. Like I have a large group of people that I'm cool with, and because it's genuine. It's a genuine extension of me, you know?
Right. Well, I wasn't trying to discredit your journey or anything like that.
No, for sure.
I just meant in terms of like, if we're both in a situation where we're, oh, you almost got it?
No, I have to take the headphones off.
Go ahead. You
can still talk, yeah.
I really want to see this get done.
I got it, y'all.
Awesome. It's been like what, like an hour in the sauna in here?
Yeah, an hour in the sauna.
yeah, we're almost.
But no, you were just about like, in terms of like what, access or
yeah, like if we're both down and like kind of like hurting, like I feel like someone with more accessibility, more of a following could get out of that rut easier than someone who just works a 9 to 5, who does a podcast once a week, blah blah blah. I feel like.
What do you mean a rut?
I wasn't expecting that question. like I don't know. I just feel like
rut or like a personal rut.
Peppa.
Oh,
don't break the shit in here.
Microphone rut.
The microphone just jumped off the table.
That's actually never happened before.
Never.
Ever. That's crazy.
It's got a hot mic over
But
there.
yeah, in terms of like, maybe not in terms of getting money, but in terms of opportunity, I guess. Like that accessibility exists, and it's easier for someone who has more of a following than someone on the way up. That's what I'll say.
Maybe, but I would also just say get creative, because it's not about having a million options. I mean, yes, then that's like statistically, right? If you have 1,000 options to pick, you could probably get, more than if you only have 100. But you know what? 1 is 1, 5 is 5, whether it comes from a pool of 100 or 1,000.
I get it.
So sometimes it's about quality, or just like, I don't know, I'd say get creative with who you do know.
Like I understand what you're saying, and maybe I'm just like a disgruntled creative, but like I just know what I'm doing is great, and it's just like no one can see it yet though. That's the only thing.
You made it.
Yeah.
No, yeah, but I'm saying though, it's like you could put out a post or whatever, and it can go because you've worked yourself to that point to get that following, right? But the masses may say mine's better than yours, but because you have that following, you'll get more of a reach. You know what I mean?
I mean, and I get that too. It's really frustrating, but it's like, the person that's the loudest and has the biggest following, well, that's not the true tastemakers, though. You know this, right?
No, I'm aware,
people that
yeah.
I think are the true tastemakers are not influencers. They're the ones that are just doing cool shit, on the streets, super evolving. Like, they move culture forward. Like, that's what it is. And then you get the other people that are, like, the loud ones who have big followings and a big reach and a big network that, are kind of, like, on board it. And then you see it pop up and populate everything. And by that point, like, the tastemakers are on to the next thing anyway.
Right. I'm kind of just speaking for, like, the other creators who feel this way. Like, who kind of, like, even feel hesitant jumping into a market like podcasting or something because it's so oversaturated. It's just, like, there's so many people who have more of a reach and stuff, so it's like, why even try, right?
Well, because what is that thing? It's like nobody, like, you're you, and that's your power, right?
Yeah.
Like, and it's not even about, like, reinventing the wheel. It's just doing what you like to do,
Being
as
consistent.
you like to do it, in the way you want to do it. And being okay with, like, some people not liking you. Because a lot of times it's about, like, oh, man, I've got to get all this, and everybody's got to like it. Do you like it?
Yeah. That's
you
what
know
matters
what?
most.
Then go with it. And then the people who, like, fuck with you will fuck with you.
If you build it, they will come.
Yeah.
I feel like the wellness industry is kind of even more oversaturated than podcasting.
Oh, super saturated.
Like, I feel like every few posts you'll see someone trying to sell me a tummy tea or something like that.
I mean, if everybody's
Don't
like,
buy
well,
that shit,
I've
okay?
gone to SoulCycle, so I'm a fitness professional, and I'm like, yeah, nah. Yeah, nah. It's part of why I went back to grad school, too. Like, I'm finishing my master's right now in counseling psychology to get a license.
How's that experience been?
It's a lot of work, but it's not bad. I was just thinking, like, what day is it? Do I have homework right now? No, my homework's tomorrow. I have live sessions tomorrow. Fun. But it's like I just wanted even more to, like, bolster, like, the work I do, Like, how can I be of more service to the people that I talk to in this audience? A lot of self-proclaimed, lifestyle wellness gurus.
A lot of BS.
Yeah. And I just
Lots.
worry it's kind of like, are you helping or hurting? Because I think sharing stories is really strong and really powerful, sharing personal stories. But a personal story is not a prescription for someone else's life. And so I think that you have to, like, I want to, marry personal experience and opinion with, like, actual resources and by the book kind of, like, stuff.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Like, credible spaces, too.
But this isn't like you going back to get your master's isn't like a form of a plan B, just in case maybe your interest shifts?
I mean, in terms of a plan B, yeah. I mean, do I think I can take care of myself if the internet falls apart? Yeah. And that's part of it's part of a thing, where it's like, what can we do? Because I think the internet will blow up soon enough, It's getting so saturated now. It'll have a couple more years for sure, but yeah.
You don't think it'll just completely take over our lives? Like, we'll have to use Wi-Fi to even open our front door? Like, you don't think it'll get to that point?
I mean, maybe. But I also think people see through a lot of, we'll say, the platform that is Instagram.
I would like to think that. I would hope so. But these younger kids who are growing up on it, they don't see anything outside of their phone.
But shit changes quickly. Snapchat died, like, overnight. Vine died overnight.
Well, that was because of Rihanna. Like, because Rihanna killed Snapchat.
The only thing I think will never die is YouTube. Like, YouTube will never die.
Whoa.
Because YouTube is enjoyable, it's entertainment, but you can also, like, let's say you don't have any friends to teach you how to change a tire.
Yeah.
You can go on YouTube and learn how to change a tire. Like, it's almost like Google, when it's like, I don't own a dictionary, but guess where I can go? Google.
YouTube is definitely taking over television. Like, you don't have to wait for that commercial to, like, get the company's name who can help you teach, like, change your tire or whatever. Like, you can just go on YouTube and find it.
Yeah.
That's great.
Do you go on YouTube rabbit holes ever?
Yeah, of course.
Do you have, like, are you subscribed to any channels?
Yeah. I don't remember what they are, but yeah, I know I am.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
So how has 2019 been for you overall? Like,
a whirlwind. If I'm totally honest, I think I've been on over 40 flights already, and it's just been a whirlwind.
But it seems like a good problem, right?
Yeah, it's a lot of changes. A lot of changes coming up. But
Right.
It's been a good year. 2018 was a good year. I hit goals that I'd set for myself. Then I was like, okay, this opens up a little different possibility for 2019.
And going towards the end of 2019, do you have any specific, like, career goals you want to have achieved by then? And if you have any, can you share them? Or
yeah, I mean, there's, like, monetary goals for sure, like numbers I want to hit. And then there's bigger things I want to create that I want to come out with. So yeah, that's it. But yeah, I'm ready to get settled in this new place, and my new spot is way bigger, thank God. And yeah, I just ready to get settled and kind of get back on my work.
there's something refreshing about moving to a new place. It's like it's like a new start, like a new rebirth, right?
It's like a rejuvenation.
Yeah, the amount of stuff I got rid of.
Oh, like, just what type of stuff can you say?
Everything. Got rid of everything.
Oh, okay.
Furniture. Got rid of my TV. I got rid of tons of kitchen stuff, clothes, knickknacks, you name it. I got rid of it. A lot of books. I cut down my books by like 50%. It's just stuff that you're like, this is a different life, and I'm ready to close that part of my life. Doesn't mean it's not still in me, but what am I trying to prove? Like, do I need to keep this French cookbook so that people know I speak like a little French? Like, like, what am I trying to prove? And I started really looking like, can I look this up on the internet? Yeah. So,
yeah, pretty much anything in those books you could look up, I'm sure.
I mean, some of them I keep, like psychology books, sociology books, stuff like that.
Do you do that often, though? Like, as far as
cleaning out? Yeah. You have to. Constant purge. But I also like to give things back.
Right.
It means a lot to me, because there were times in my life I had someone not extended what extra they had, I would have just gone without. Like, I couldn't even afford a laptop at one point, and I had a friend who said, I'm getting rid of one. Like, I'll clean it and, give me like $100 and we can do this. Like, just had people not extended, like, kindness to me.
Right.
Even little things, like my favorite sweatshirt at one point, it was like a gift, like, and had someone not been like, oh, yeah, sure, you can have this, I just wouldn't have had it. So I try to, when I have extra of things and I know that I won't wear them or give them love or enjoy them, they can mean something so much to somebody else.
Yeah, I'm mostly, I give away clothing more than anything because you grow out of it, but like, I never thought about giving away my books. I mean, I have some pretty good books that people may need to read.
Yeah,
I never thought about
or
that.
give them to Housing Works, or there's, I tried to donate, there's a book donation that sends them overseas to places that don't have access to a bunch of books, textbooks, etc. You can give textbooks or any kind of books. They only do pickups once a month in the city, though, so I missed them by one day. But it's okay. Just took them other places. Kitchen stuff. Anything that's not broken or torn up, I try to donate. And then if it's really just like past its fucking prime,
Just trash
how
it.
can I dispose of this? Yeah, a lot of it is recyclable. Like tech has to be recycled a certain way. So, I mean, trying to be conscious about cleaning out is like so hard.
Yeah.
Because it's
There's
like
so many
there's
rules.
so many steps to it. It's not just put in trash can, throw away.
Yeah.
If only it was, well, not if only, because like, no, that's,
It's just not.
you don't
And,
even know where it goes afterwards. So
No, so I try to recycle what I can. I try to, put the stuff in the right places. And
how's your experience been in New York overall? Like, do you like it overall as a place to live?
it's my favorite city in the States, for sure.
Awesome.
Yeah, because you've done a lot of traveling, you've seen other states, but you can,
In America.
in America.
New
Is
York
it the energy of New York?
is
Or?
the best place to be. It's everything. It's the tolerance here. You can just be and do whatever you want here. And life happens so fast and so quickly. And people are about something here, even if it fails. They're about something, or trying to be at least. And there's just so many different people and spirits and, all of that in one place is pretty magical.
That's
Yeah,
true.
it's,
And I like it's close. You can get to Europe pretty easily.
You get anywhere in the world from here.
It's just like the mega center. It's like where shit happens.
it's a gumbo of just energy. Just like a great energy on every corner. Well,
But with all good
maybe every other corner.
But with all good stuff comes tough stuff too. It's a tough
Yeah.
city.
Facts.
It's a really tough city. I hate the subways. I hate touching strangers all the time.
Yeah.
I
got no
hate
choice.
I hate cost of living here. I hate traffic. I hate construction. I hate industrialized noises. Just all of it. I hate that it takes me so long to get to the airport. Just you name it. Just bothered.
I have one question left, Coco. I'm not sure if you want to ask her anything.
Broke the mic
Falling.
again. Oh, actually, yeah.
Audio
because-
listeners, I'm
It
sorry.
melted. That's why, because it's so hot in here.
It is a sauna in here. I use this microphone all the time too. It's falling apart. Do you have anything?
Officially broke it.
What was
Yeah,
your last?
Honestly, I think we covered.
What was
a
your
lot.
last question?
My last question for you. I was seeing if she had anything because like
Oh,
you
yeah,
guys are
that's
like
nice.
yoga mates, right? Kind of in a way. Like you guys are both doing yoga. Maybe you could ask her some. I don't know.
Yoga centric questions?
Yeah.
Mental health.
Well, can you say where you teach now, actually?
Oh, it's all privates and pop-ups now.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I don't teach a studio space.
So
I
you
never
may,
really did though.
there's a chance you may pull up to somebody's city.
I know. You never know.
You never know. Trill
Might
Yoga
find
pop
me.
up.
Might find me in your city.
Maybe she can do a class for our podcast, our co-hosts. We'll all show up and,
CR definitely needs some yoga in his life.
Maybe you need some too. He's always hating on our co-hosts.
Yeah. No, I'm not hating, but
No,
like I
just
feel
fine.
like he could use some yoga. I feel like we all could.
We all could.
We all
yeah.
could use some
I'm always
yoga.
trying to get them to meditate and stuff.
I'm
but
not. It's not.
They
happening.
don't.
Not yet.
I think Lainey does meditate.
Meditation's important, and the people that are like, "Oh yeah, I can't meditate," it's probably who needs it the most.
There's too much going on in my head to like just turn it off. Like outside when I'm
this-
sleeping.
Dude, you go to sleep, right?
You don't turn it off. The thing with meditation
calm
is that
it?
you just can. It's like watching your thoughts pass by on a river, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like all humans are capable of being mindful. This is not just like those people can do it and I can't. We're all capable of it, of just slowing yourself down. So then you like run your thoughts, not your thoughts running you or ruining you even, but like letting you run them and think, okay, what am I thinking? And you just watch them like pass by like on a river. So mindfulness is about being aware, like, okay, this is the thought coming up, also being open to whatever the thought is, and then accepting it. And then you move to a place of being able to respond versus just reacting, because that's your thoughts running you.
Yeah, but I feel like the calming phase of it, of just like actually, breathing in and out, letting the things like calming yourself, right? It's hard. I don't know. It's like when you have so much going on, I feel like your mind is just too powerful to resist and turn off at times.
Your thoughts are running you.
Your thoughts are running you. It's hard. Yeah.
Yeah, just slow down. I mean, it can get overwhelming sometimes, just our heads can
So-
get really loud.
It doesn't have to be a huge, plot of time. You can do it for like 5-10 minutes a day. Like
5-10 minutes.
And you'll notice the difference.
Or give yourself a mantra, and then you can just repeat your mantra over and over, and it helps you focus on something else. It can be as simple as breathing in, breathing out. I am.
Mm-hmm.
I am. Or you can say something on the end, like, I am powerful and accepting, and you can say something on your out breath, like, I am peaceful and calm. Whatever you want it to be. I am strong. I am all these things. Or you can have another mantra. Whatever resonates with you at the time.
I think I psyched myself out already. That's like my mind controlling me again. So yeah, I'm gonna work on that. I really am interested in, investing my time into meditation, yoga, stuff like that, because I feel like I need another escape from depression outside of podcasting, because this could go away.
I love meditating. I use guided meditations, and like, there's this one lady, Lynn, and I just, anytime I hear her voice, I immediately have the association of like, I can calm down now. Lynn.
Shout out to her.
Shout out, Lynn.
My last question was, since you've gained a following on social media, is there anyone in particular that you maybe want to reach out to one day, or maybe get more following to, collab with, have tea with, have
sit down with, pick their brain,
yoga sesh with? Anyone in particular? I mean, you're not really, you don't stand out for anybody, but
no. Let me think. Not really.
No one.
No.
You guys aren't worthy.
No, it's not like that. It's just like, I think, when you think like, who would I want to sit down and like fuck with in a way? And I'm like, my friends. I want to see my friends more. Like, I want to see my friends in Paris more. I want to see my friends overseas more. Like, that's who I want to spend my time with. Like, people I love. And like, yes, there will probably be other amazing people business-wise for sure that come up. Like, there's a lot of things happening really proactively in like some forms of like healthcare and like women's empowerment, and there's just cool shit. Like, I'm like, man, this is cool shit that's going on that I'd love to do.
Right.
But no one sticks out as like the one person that could change everything,
Well,
because I think it's the powers and like tons of people coming together and doing good stuff, not just meeting one person.
Gotcha. Well, my offer is still out there, Ava DuVernay. If you're listening, I still want to have tea with you.
She's so dope.
Yeah, she has that new special coming out on Netflix. What was it? I forget what it's called.
I don't remember the name.
But
I think it's out already, though.
It's something.
Is it not?
Something, yeah. But
She's dope.
regardless, my offer's still out there if you're interested.
We're terrible promoters.
Yeah, we're the worst, but
She's
we're also
super
really
dope.
great. Yeah.
She's super dope.
Yes.
I mean, we'll see. We'll see. Maybe I'll have an answer for you in a few months. Just let me think on this one.
Yeah, you have to come back if you can.
The only thing that really stuck out at one point was someone asked me, like, well, do you want to, like, go do that panel? And I was like, no, like, I want to be on NPR. Like, that's the level, you know?
Yeah.
Right.
Like, so I'm thinking more in that sense, but I got too much else on my brain right now.
Well, if you enjoyed your experience today, hopefully you can come back and you can give us an update on who you would like to
That'd be
work
cool.
with.
That'd be cool. And
Meet all our other co-hosts.
Yeah.
I know, pull some strings and who I can get in here.
Word. So lastly, we have a segment on this podcast called Don't Sleep, where it's basically we give some sort of advice, music, any recommendation to our audience that they shouldn't sleep on. And mine this week is people shouldn't sleep on humanity. And what I mean by that is, I feel like we all heard this once in our life of someone saying, humanity's so fucked up. I kind of don't, I gave up on human beings, whatever. There's no good people left. But I used to kind of be one of those people because I've just been wronged by so many people in my past and
disappointed.
Disappointed, yeah. But doing this podcast like with you and CR and Lainey, it kind of like reinvigorated the idea of good people again. And I'm just so appreciative of you guys showing up each week to support me. It changed my perception on humanity. And there are good people, real people who will support you genuinely. Yeah. So, yeah, just don't sleep on humanity because there's definitely some good people out there, like you as well, who just want to help or just have good energy. So, yeah.
They do exist.
That's such a good one.
Don't
I think
sleep.
that's really good to put out there, especially with everything going on. It can get really heavy.
It's
and just
really
think like, shit, we all suck, you know? Like,
Yeah.
it's easy to think that.
You got to go through the weeds to see the good in people, but
Definitely.
they exist. Do you have anything?
I would say don't sleep on taking a break, whether that be from social media, whether that be from, obviously things that stress you out, but just maybe disconnecting a little bit. Like for us, we always, we promote, we put information up about the show on IG and things like that, social media. For me, I took a week off. And it, for me, it's just, I feel like much calmer, not that I'm always on social media and doing different things, but just taking a few days off and like not even focusing on it, it calmed me down a little bit. It definitely helped with my anxiety a little bit. So, I would say don't sleep on that, I think it's a good thing.
The
So
DMs
unplug
got
every once
filled
in a
up in that time?
I haven't checked.
Okay.
I'll check
They're
later.
filled up right now.
I'll check later.
Claire, would you happen to have anything people shouldn't sleep on?
Don't sleep on. Those are really good ones.
Thank you.
I would also say, like, don't sleep on a combination of, like, vulnerability and, like, doing things that scare you. Like, don't sleep on, like, big changes just because you're comfortable. Like, don't sleep on how powerful that can be, you know, to really just do the damn thing, whatever it is. Tell the person you like them. Tell somebody you love them. Move where you want to move. Start what you want to start. Like, don't sleep on just, you know, like shit.
Yeah.
And failing's not the worst thing either, but
That's how you learn.
Don't sleep on being vulnerable, because that all kind of wraps into the whole thing of, like, putting yourself out there.
Right.
But that also, it's not just like business and entrepreneurship or all those things, but it's also like in personal relationships. Like, you know what? Fall in love. Try it. You know? Try it, because you'll have an experience.
Oh, yeah, don't sleep on proofreading, because the email I sent you was so bad. Font was all over the place.
It seriously looked like a spam email.
Fuck.
Well, next time, why don't you send it to one of us? We'll look it over and be like, boop, boop. All right.
But
here,
you know
we'll edit
what?
it for
That's
you if
very
anything.
true.
Just so you have a fresh
I'm
pair
a
of
real
eyes.
one, and I will read them.
You're true.
I will read them.
You felt the energy
That's
that I was
right.
trying to progress,
There you
and
go.
it worked out.
Mm-hmm.
Would you like to shout out where people can find you so they can follow you and potentially hop in your DMs for anything?
If
I
you
don't know.
wish.
Anything. Come hang out and chit-chat.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can find me on the internet. You can find me at CB Quality on Instagram, and then my website, iamtrillyoga.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for coming. So much
It
fun.
was so nice to
Hopefully
chat.
you enjoyed the sauna. It's super hot in here. You shed some
Yeah.
pounds
Flush out
in
a few
it.
toxins.
Yeah,
a little
shed
bit
some
of toxins.
toxins,
Yeah.
some
Like, am I
pounds.
glowing yet?
You
Yes?
definitely
Okay,
are.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Always.
If you enjoyed this podcast, wherever you indulge at, whether it be iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, YouTube, whatever system they have to rate or leave a review or comment, please utilize that, because it definitely helps. And
We read the comments, guys.
We definitely read the comments, the emails. You can email us at introvertedpod@yahoo.com if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or if you potentially want to come on as a guest yourself, you can send that email. We could possibly set that up. And am I missing anything?
I don't think so.
June 28th, big things potentially on the way, right?
Stay tuned.
June 28th. That's all we'll say on that for now. And thank you for listening.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.